Hello and welcome. Today I'm joined by Nick Merante. Nick is a consultant in the field for a large information security company. He's also one of the co-founders of the hackathon, and his primary role at the hackathon is to lead our Black team. The Black team is the team of professionals that we have, former students as well, who kind of manage a lot of the infrastructure, keep all of the network up and running for the actual hackathon day. As well as he also teaches some of our Linux classes, Unix classes here at Mohawk Valley Community College. In a previous life, he also was a former club advisor. Welcome, Nick.
Thank you, James.
So I'd like to start with kind of that former club advisor role that you played. Maybe you could tell us a little bit about your experiences of what it was like being a club advisor, and what were some of the things, describe kind of the atmosphere of what you had during your time there.
Yeah, I was a club advisor for 3 or 4 years for the Network and Computer Security Club at one of the local colleges. And our goal was to give the club members activities to work on and kind of a focus.
Okay, and how often did you guys meet?
At least weekly, sometimes multiple times a week. As the club grew, we had quite a few members. It was one of the largest clubs on campus. So the club would break up into separate groups that would meet for different activities depending upon what they were working on.
And was this for a 2-year organization or a 4-year organization?
This was at a 4-year school.
Okay. I found here, certainly at Mohawk Valley, working with a 2-year, we can get about enough people for maybe one club meeting, but getting to 2 is stretching it. So that's interesting to kind of hear how a 4-year, you might have a little bit more flexibility, maybe a little bit more success having some independent meetings when the club grows long enough.
Yeah, that does make things a little easier, especially to keep the students on track to have different activities going on. We started out as a 2-year school, and we experienced the same challenges. Switching to a 4-year definitely made things a lot more interesting from the club perspective.
Okay, cool. And talking about some of that fun stuff that they were able to do, what kind of technology were you able to have access to?
So I managed academic computing at the college at the time, and we were able to funnel a lot of hardware their way. The club was able to get access to a lot of the old equipment that was being decommissioned from the labs. So we were able to get the club space of their own and equipment of their own from labs and servers. Having access to that technology opened up a lot of doors for the students to work on different projects and to get some experience setting up infrastructure in their club space. Beyond that, we would purchase little toys here and there. The Hack 5 tool set opened up a lot of interesting projects, a lot of opportunities for the students, and different things like that.
So for the most part, then, was this students who administered to the stuff, or was this you kind of overlooking all of it? I mean, how did the kind of administration go?
I supervised, but had mostly a hands-off role. The students managing it themselves gave them a lot of worthwhile experience. They were administrators and they had a user base. They're other club members, so they were able to respond to things a lot faster and get a very valuable set of experiences from that.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome for them. So I guess kind of in that role, or since then, you have really taken off here as the Black team lead for the hackathon. I was wondering if you could tell us just a little bit, being the leader of this team, a little bit about the skill sets, the personalities, the duties, for someone who isn't quite sure what that means. Maybe you could put that into words for some people.
For our hackathon, we heavily leverage the Unix Linux operating system, and there's a good deal of networking knowledge involved. So the Black team members have to have that skill set in order to assist the team and to assist us with infrastructure. So we leverage those same resources on the infrastructure side as well. So the Black team members have a strong Linux foundation, Unix foundation, and a good handle on networking.
And how big is the team?
The team right now is approximately 8 to 10 members.
Okay,
so
and yeah, go ahead.
We have that roughly split into 2 groups. One focused more on infrastructure for running the event, and another group a little more focused on assisting teams that need a little help, run into difficulties.
Okay, and where do these different team members, where have they all come from?
They're pretty much all my former students over the past few years. So when we started up the hackathon, we needed a Black team. We needed help that, people that we knew had the skills and we've worked with in the past. So we just tapped that student base.
And are these students, so these students are what, working in the field now, or?
They've all since graduated. They're all working in the field, so they're all professionals doing pretty much the work that they did for me as students. Unix work, systems work, networking. So that skill set carried from their student careers to their professional careers, and now we're able to tap into that for Hackathon.
That's awesome. What do you think were the big factors that you were able to kind of bring them back in, let's say, and get them kind of donating their time to do this?
They really enjoy what they do. They enjoy working in this kind of environment. It's a way to get back into the academic environment. They all enjoyed their time in that space as well. And they like what we're doing, our mission of the hackathon, for providing a space for the students that are competing to learn a little bit more and to see something a little different than they might otherwise see in the classroom.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I guess I'm kind of interested too. I see sort of two dynamics here. You've got the professional skill set and the expertise, but a lot of what you're describing sounds like the Black team members that you've got are also people to whom they all work very well with each other. So you kind of have the personality side to it as well. Was that something that you say would agree with? And if so, is that something that kind of built as they were a student, or more developed a little bit later?
Probably a little of both. The majority of our Black team all worked together at a previous point of time. They were all students that were in my classes, and then I hired to assist me at the campus. And the majority of them work together now professionally. So it's this block of students that I put together in my former role, and they've kind of moved together from their academic to their professional careers.
Yeah, that's awesome. I guess I'll just kind of wrap up with any particular advice that you might have from your expertise for someone who wants to either start a club, or kind of how you have here start leading a team of technical students or professionals. What would you say? Maybe some lessons learned, maybe some common pitfalls, something along that line.
For starting a club, find activities for the club members to do. Give them a workspace to operate in, some hardware to work with, some projects to work on. One project that we found a lot of success with for our club was assisting with open houses for the college. It gave the students a project to work on that had high visibility, and they had a way to give back to the school in a meaningful way. And we always got a lot of great feedback from prospective students and parents on the job our students did during that open house, showcasing their abilities in the program. But any type of technical project that they can work on, things that can apply what they're learning in the classroom in a hands-on, practical way, would keep them coming back and keep them active in a club. That's the greatest challenge, finding that space and the equipment for them to work in.
And I guess maybe that last point of working with them as professionals, did you find that for most of these people, you kind of had them ringed in, they were kind of already on board as they were graduating and transitioning to be a professional, or were any of them people to whom you kind of sought out or maybe met for the first time as a professional? How do you find the professional interaction beneficial, or is that an element to your Black team, or not really?
A little of both. Some of them we had ringed in as they were graduating, and some saw what we were doing, liked what we were doing, and came back looking to help after they graduated and they had already started their professional careers.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. I'm curious if that strategy might work. I'm thinking more for organizations that might not necessarily have that groundwork laid out. How could they get started? Maybe they have some former students to whom recently graduated that they should reach out to again. Or maybe they've got the kind of, as your strategy was, to really get them on board as students and create the culture. So.
Yeah, reach out to former students. It kind of goes both ways. Teaching, I always had former students reach out to me when they had transitioned to their professional careers and needed new hires. They reached out to me for recommendations. That can go the other way too. Reach out to some of those former students to see who might be interested in helping out with a venture like this.
Yeah, that's great. Well, Nick, thanks for joining us. If you had any other closing comments, I'll give you the last word.
No, that about sums it up. Start with a good student base, get them active in their clubs, and working on some projects, and it all kind of dominoes down from there.
Okay, great. Well, thanks for joining us today. Anybody who wants to reach out to me, you can reach me at jrice, JRICE, at mvcc.edu, and look forward to seeing you in the regional hackathon. Thanks for joining me, Nick.
Thanks, James.